understanding. If you have someone in your life who continuously points out the faults or points them out when they know you already know them, that's a different story. Now we've got somebody who's trying to hurt you in one way or another. But you need to listen to other people's views of you and accept them as valuable to have a total picture of yourself. Or else your handicap's not going to be right. You're not going to know where you are on that 0 to 100 scale. So I have a handicap. I haven't worked it out mathematically, but I'm going to be generous to myself since I do study this shit a lot and give myself a 60. I'm going to give myself a 60 on the 100 scale of being a totally logical thinker. And I was reading a story earlier in the New Yorker about something like how smart people are stupid or something like that. And this story basically highlighted some of the errors that the most intelligent people get into, and I think it comes from an overconfidence in your intelligence. When you're overconfident in your intelligence, you stop learning. You stop learning. Your mind, slowly, even without your awareness, you may not be thinking about it, starts to close. Starts to close on the popular concepts in there. I would encourage you to always remain open-minded because that lets new evidence come in. You want new evidence to always have a door into your brain. You shut those doors and say, this is what I see and this is it, you're finished learning no matter what comes out. No matter which of your common beliefs comes into question. I got to share something with you guys. Someone very close to me, at least on a family scale, said tonight about Obamacare that, let me see how I can word this carefully. She said that one of her loved ones, who's also older, beyond retirement, into the retirement age, had a colonoscopy, okay? And everything went well, everything turned out great, and she's a registered nurse. And she said, this is the last colonoscopy he's going to be able to have 5 years from now, and from what I've heard, she said, Obamacare doesn't, I'm paraphrasing here, but she said something like Obamacare doesn't really take care of much after that age. And she said, so I'll just have to rely on the Lord. So I did a little research. I was not that familiar with the application of Obamacare to our older, 75 and older. I went and looked it up, and it is a popular misconception. It's a myth, and you can find it on Snopes, and you can find references there as well to show the actual source of the information. You don't lose care because you get older. You don't lose any. They still do the preventative. Everything's still covered. So I went and shared the Snopes story with her. I said, I'm very glad for the result of this colonoscopy. Glad you got good news. And even more good news, both Obamacare and the Lord will still take care of you even after you're older. And I shared the story. And I guess the whole point was, I'm tired of people spreading fucking myths because that's a time killer. We could make so much progress in this world if we stopped wasting time believing some dumb shit, and half the reason we believe it is because we want to believe it, because it helps us hate the person or party that we want to hate. That is a total waste of time, man. Just stop hating. You can hate murderers. You can hate people who hurt children. The rest, give them a fucking break. Back up and ask, why are they doing this? You can, everything is contextual. I mean, you could say there are the unforgivables, I get that, but Jesus Christ. You're going to spread myths? A highly educated woman spreading myths? Because you want to hate this man so bad? There are mistakes he's made that you can point out without spreading fear that isn't true. God, it breaks my heart to see it. I see smart people doing this stuff. And I had no idea when I first read her post that it wasn't true. I thought maybe after 75 or 80 years old they did stop doing preventive medicine. But it wasn't true. I don't know. Do you care about that? Do you care about what's real? Or would you rather have a working truth in your mind that just best supports your own belief system as it stands right now? Cognitive thinking errors. I'm going to get into the chat here in just a second. But first, I'm going to go ahead and give you the headlines of it. All or nothing thinking. This is the most ridiculous goddamn mistake people make. Everything has to be black or white. I went on PolitiFact tonight, which PolitiFact asked for ideas. They wanted to know what we thought would be better, on the way they fact check and stuff, as they are a fact checking service essentially. And I said, how about real-time fact-checking? Have a ticker running below the people speaking, and have somebody almost in real time putting, here's the rating. We did, we did our Google, looked at our references, and within 15 or 20 seconds after they said this, we can show you how accurate it was. And they took it. They took the idea, and they employed it. And tonight was their first attempt with it. And it was pretty much a failure. But what I saw immediately on the PolitiFact page when they put up this idea that they were going to do this was the all or nothing thinking. Number one, I'm sharing this goddamn site because y'all need to live here for a minute if you're not familiar with it. For some of you, it'll be review. For some of you, it may be revelation. For all of you, it's going to be useful. Let me share the dinky. Here we go. Yeah, that's a good one. I assume that my show's still working, so I just have to listen real quick. There it goes. Doesn't sound good. I got a lot of stuff to fix, but the equipment and hardware I'll get tomorrow will help with just that type of thing. Okay, Austin, I'm closing you. You're a boring racist, and I hope you get a giant dick in your ass from the prison that you're writing from. Let's see. Back to the cognitive thinking and all or nothing. Automatically. I just hate this. And the guy said, oh, tonight's the State of the Union address. Oh, I can already tell you what's going to be a lie. If his mouth is moving, he's lying. And I said, really? I said, so let me ask you this. You're convinced that everything he says tonight will be a lie. I said, so if we were to empirically verify that roughly 80% of what he said was truth and 10% was kind of iffy, he presented it as fact, but it hadn't been proven yet, and then 10% was false, that would shock you, right? Because that's a grossly different number than you said we would get, because you said we would get 100% lie, 0 true, 0 in the middle. Where's the middle ground? What is this polar opposites thing? You see it in arguments all the time. Oh, you want me to cut down on my eating of bad food? Guess I'll just fucking eat lettuce then. Well, wait a minute. Let's go back to the 100 scale. So, someone advised you to stop eating fried foods, and that would be considered up there around 100 on healthy things to do. And you've decided that you, in order to comply with what they're saying, need to go back to the 0 scale and do absolutely nothing and live in misery eating fucking lettuce like a rabbit. There's a 10, 20, 30, 40, do I have to go on? There's a middle ground on almost everything, folks. Don't go to polar opposites, because to people like me, I hope you respect this. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't give a fuck what people like me think. But to people like me, the first indicator that you're coming in with a low IQ is you work on the extreme edges of everything. There's almost always a middle ground that needs to be explored. It's ridiculous. It's either all this or all that, or none of this or none of that. Let's talk about it. All or nothing thinking, also called black and white thinking. How perfect for tonight. Thinking of things in absolute terms, like always, every, and never. For example, if your performance falls short of perfect, you see yourself as a total failure. Few aspects of human behavior are so absolute. Nothing is 100%. No one is all bad or all good. We all have grades. To beat this cognitive distortion, I got a few tips here for you. One, ask yourself, has there ever been a time when it was not that way? All or nothing thinking does not allow exceptions. So if even one exception can be found, it's no longer all or nothing. You've just thrown it completely out the window. So if Obama told one truth tonight out of, 400, 500 comments he made, that whole theory is gone for that guy. Now the question is, we know we're in the gray area. How gray is it? Second thing, ask yourself never or always, depending on what you are thinking. And investigate the best case versus worst case scenario. I don't know what that means. NLP meta program. I don't even know what that means, but it looks like a link where they're going to try to sell us something. So we're going to skip that next. Number 2 is overgeneralization. Another fucking retarded thing to do. Taking isolated cases and using them to make wide generalizations. For example, you see a single negative event as a never-ending pattern of defeat. She yelled at me. She's always yelling at me. She must not like me. If you want to beat that, you got to catch yourself overgeneralizing. You saw two black guys steal a car, now you think all black guys steal cars. I mean, what is that? Do you really believe that, or do you just want to believe that because it helps fit your worldview the way it's most comfortable for you? I don't want to be comfortable. I want to be more correct than comfortable. Now, that's me. I don't know about you. Say to yourself, just because one event happened does not necessarily mean I am fill in the blank. Number 3 is mental filter. Focusing exclusively on certain, usually negative or upsetting aspects of something while ignoring the rest. For example, you selectively hear that one tiny negative thing surrounded by all the huge positive stuff. Often, and this includes being associated in negative, I am so stupid, and dissociated in positive, you have to be pretty smart to do my job. To beat this cognitive distortion, they give you a few more tips. Learn to look for silver lining in every cloud. Well, that's a thinking issue. 2 is count up your negatives versus your positives. For every negative event, stack up a positive against it. Make a list of both negative and positive character attributes and behaviors. Well, that sounds like a way to suck your own dick to me. So I'm just going to tell you that you're thinking through a filter, whether you like it or not. No, some people don't want to believe this. They want to believe they're coming into every situation fresh. You are not. You have your history, your education, your experience. These are the things that are shaping the way you take in information. And all you can do to fight getting bad shit put in instead of good shit as far as reliable information is to try to understand the way unreliable beliefs form. And that takes a little research. But you're looking through a filter. Clean that fucking filter. Have that thing as clean and steady and fair as it can be. And at least admit to yourself if it's a filter that you're using on purpose. I hate black people. I've never met one that I liked. Therefore, I want my filter to label all black people as bad in some way. There, I've got a handicap on my filter. I already know what it's going to do. I'm good with it. I want to hate black people. It's going to help me do that. But don't believe that you can actually find something bad about every black person and then use your cognitive dissonance to conveniently overlook the black people who you can't find anything bad about. Because you're just living a fantasy then. It's not accurate. Maybe people don't care about being accurate. I don't know. Disqualifying the positive. Well, we've kind of already talked about that, so there's no need to go through that again. Don't smoke cigarettes, kids. It'll give you fucking face cancer. Jumping to conclusions, number 5, we do that, absolutely. I'm not going to go over that, you know what it means. Number 6, magnification and minimization, you know what that is. This is not hard stuff. We're going to get into the hard stuff, so I'm not going to spend time on this. Emotional reasoning, you know what that is as well. Shoulding, what is shoulding? S-H-O-U-L-D-I-N-G, necessity, must, can't thinking. Shoulding is focusing on what you can't control. Sounds more like shitting to me. For example, you try to enlighten another's unconscious. They should get it. Concentrating on what you think should or ought to be rather than the actual situation you are faced with. Okay, I agree that that's a problem, but I don't see people as being deluded by it. I think when you think this motherfucker should know this, you're not fooled into thinking, okay, he does. You know he doesn't, or you wouldn't be thinking he should. I don't know about that. I don't know what they're trying to do with that. Labeling and mislabeling, we know about that. Personalization and blame. Some of these are really just subcategories of bigger categories, and I don't know if I had more faith in this site when I first looked at it than I do now. But hey, when you get something called the Power States blog, you're immediately gonna have questions because you know something's for sale. Motivation is something else we can talk about, but I'm not going to talk about this show. In the chat room tonight, Kim says, second mouse gets the cheese. Early bird gets the worm, says Guy Shea. Some worms don't come out often. Going to get that audio drop. I knew you were going to do that, Barco. I knew somebody was going to get that audio drop of me saying, I hate black people. So let me say it with a little more emphasis. And it's not true, but if you want to use it against me, you can. I can't stand black people. Hate them, hate them, hate them, hate them, hate them. There you go. You can incorporate that into something to make me look like something I'm not, if you want. Why do you say that, Apocalypse? Apocalypse says never trust your first instinct. While I agree you should never trust it as the gospel, I think gut instincts often can put you in the right direction. Check out how many politicians get a check from Casio America, even the anti-gambling hackers. I didn't know that guy. So what are you saying there? Is that's Japan buying us out again? Yep. He's saying power continues to lay in the